Rado is a broke loser who has no hose and has nothing going on in his life. However, after a global pandemic wipes out 99% of men, he's now forced to repopulate the planet one backshot at a time. Everything starts when Rado confesses to his beautiful colleague Arisa that he's loved her for a long time. He also adds that he's been diagnosed with a deadly cellular sclerosis disease, and it will take 5 years to find a cure, which means he will be put in cold sleep until then. He then tells her he's going to ask her out once he wakes up, and she gets upset because it'll take 5 years. Later that afternoon, Rado arrives at the hospital ready to be placed in cold sleep. Here his not-so-good-looking sister Maharu hugs him and tells him she'll miss him while his brother assures him that everything will be fine. As he's about to enter the cold chamber, Arisa shows up begging to see him one last time, so the nurse lets her in. While she tearfully tells Rado goodbye, he gives her his pendant and asks her to hold on to it until he returns. As Rado passes out, he worries that he will be left behind, but Arisa promises to wait for him, which puts him at ease. 5 years later, Rado opens his eyes and sees a woman named Mira, who looks a lot like Arisa, only bouncier and hotter. Later, during a ride out of the hospital, she introduces herself as his dedicated assistant and explains that a new virus unalived lots of people. When she mentions that the world population has reduced by half in the last 4 years, Rado thinks Mira is bluffing and sprints out of the car to see things for himself. Soon Rado is surrounded by women, and he runs off wondering why he hasn't seen a single guy yet. That's when Mira catches up and tells him that the virus only targets men and wiped out almost all men on the planet. She explains that he's resistant to the virus thanks to the cellular sclerosis treatment he received. She also mentions that there are only 5 immune men left in the world, and since he's one of them, he's a valuable asset to humanity. While Rado processes this, a thirsty chick tries to jump on his sausage, but Mira's guard chases her away, knocking her out. Mira then tells him that the only way to save humanity is for him to go full Johnny Sins and clap everyone. The following day, Rado learns about the United Women's Group, an international organization working to develop a vaccine. But until now, the vaccine remains unfinished. However, they discovered faint hope when they found a young man in cold sleep who was resistant to the virus. This person was called Number 1, and since there are other guys like him, they're scheduled to be awakened one by one to save humanity. Seeing this shocks Rado, and as he processes everything, Mira tells him to refrain from going out in public because it would cause chaos. She then leans in and begs him to make as many offspring as possible to save humanity. Rado suggests the artificial method since he isn't comfortable smashing 5 billion chicks, but Mira tells him they've already tried that and it didn't work. Currently, Number 1 has already got a woman pregnant, and the whole world is banking on the immunity of the offspring. Rado still thinks this is a big prank, so Mira brings in Maharu hoping she'll convince him. Rado feels relieved upon seeing her, and he also finds out his brother is in cold sleep. Later on, he asks about Arisa, so Maharu tells him she's been missing for 3 years. Rado fumes after hearing this and picks up his phone to call her, but no one answers. That evening, Mira reports to her superior from the United Women Group and gets scolded because she hasn't been able to get Rado to smash anyone yet. So that night, while Rado lies in bed thinking about Arisa, Mira walks in wearing a silky night robe, leaving him stunned. Without hesitation, she unveils her natural work of art. She crawls her way into kissing him, but when it's time for her to jump on his sausage, Rado briefly recalls Arisa and pushes her off. When Mira asks if she isn't his type, he tells her he can't be having a good time when the world is falling apart. Hearing this, Mira excuses herself and walks out. But when she gets outside, Number 1's assistant Nana mocks her for not being able to get freaky with Rado. Nana then suggests she get clapped by her master Hino, but Mira turns her down, insisting she only wants Rado. Later that night, Rado recalls the pendant he gave Arisa before entering cold sleep and realizes its location is still active. The following morning, Mira ups her game and gives Rado access to a pool of hot chicks, hoping it'll make his day long and hard, but the loser still refuses to pick anyone. When Mira tells him that even the men still in cold sleep are fated to die within a year, he finally realizes how grave the situation is. So he begs Mira to give him a month to find Arisa because she's the only person he wants to smash. Mira agrees, but only on the condition that he spends the night with a girl of his choosing since they're running out of time. The next morning, Hino is greeted with a heavenly massage from 2 OnlyFans models. And while he's enjoying it, Nana walks in and tells him it's time for him to smash. She shows him a list of girls ready to get inched. He decides to settle for Rihanna, a hot movie star built like Megan Fox. When Rihanna enters his room, he feels her face and finds it hard to believe he's about to be in bed with someone that hot. Without wasting time, Rihanna shows him her work of art and he doesn't hesitate to sample it, wondering how she can be that good. Later that morning, while eating breakfast, Rado falls in love with his meal. So Mira tells him it's thanks to the chefs her organization hired from around the world. Hearing this, Maru gets a little jealous because Rado is getting all the special treatment while Rado notices that Mira eats a lot. When he remarks on her appetite, she says that nutrition is important, leaving him to wonder how she keeps her petite shape. But as he notices the size of her milkers, it hits him that that's where all the food is going, which makes Maharu even more jealous since she's flat. A while later, Mira tells Rado she'll be assigning him a nurse and a bodyguard for his safety, and that they'll be sleeping with him every night. Rado is flustered after hearing this, so he thinks about it while walking to his room to freshen up. On the way he meets Hino, who tells him they should get along since they're two of the few active guys in the world. Turns out he already knows about Rado's smashing issues, so he tries to talk him into getting some action. However, Rado still insists on staying celibate, so Hino walks away, telling him he's going to have a field day smashing all the models. In the shower, Rado thinks about what Hino said and admits that being with so many women sounds fun. He still insists on finding Arisa so he can finally smash. Before he knows it, the lights go off. And as he struggles to get out of the bathroom, he finds himself touching something soft and squishy. Turns out it's a girl's milkers. And although Rado is shocked, the girl brushes it off like it's no big deal and introduces herself as Kenna. She then pours a chocolate drink into her mouth and feeds it to Rado via a kiss, causing all the culture within him to rise. Seeing this, she circles back to calm him down with a sloppy toppy, but Rado lasts only 2 seconds before sprinkling everywhere and passing out on her. By the time he wakes up, he's shocked to find a chick named Sui in his bed, but he calms down when he realizes she might be his nurse. The following day, however, he walks around with bags under his eyes because he couldn't sleep with Kenna and Sui in the same bed. He's currently at Arisa's former workplace looking for clues that might help him find her. But before he can get to her office, a bear breaks out of its cage and starts attacking everyone. As the bear charges at Sui, Rado reacts instantly and saves her from getting torn apart, but Kenna yells at Sui to do her job. Instantly, Sui's eyes go blank, and she lands a deadly strike on the bear, knocking it out on the spot. Seeing this shocks Rado, and he immediately realizes that Sui is his bodyguard, not a nurse like he thought. While Mira yells at the staff for being careless with security, the mysterious chick behind the bear watches everything and hides herself. Later on, Rado enters Arisa's old office and learns that someone broke in and stole all her research documents. When he discovers that Arisa was researching the virus, he's shocked. But an old picture of them together makes him flash back to a time when Arisa's dog was sick. Since there was no medication to cure the dog's illness, Arisa decided she would become a doctor and work on a cure. Seeing her determination, Rado decided he'd become a doctor too so he could help her with her research. Remembering all of this, Rado tells Mira it'll take too long for him to repopulate the entire world by himself, and decides he'll come up with a cure for the virus instead, so all the men still in cold sleep can wake up and spread their seed to repopulate the earth. A few days later, he goes live on television and announces his existence along with his intention to develop a cure. As his broadcast reaches the entire continent, Arisa sees him and realizes he's alive. Later that afternoon, Meru scolds Rado for doing the broadcast, because now the whole world's eyes are on him, which puts him in danger whenever he goes outside. However, when Rado tells her he did it because he wants to save the world, she tells him to at least get some rest. After that, she tries opening Arisa's stuffed teddy bear, but finds that Arisa's smart ring is still hidden inside. Seeing this, Rado takes it and hurries to the bathroom, where he finds a video message Arisa left for him. In the recording, Arisa says she discovered the virus was man-made and that she couldn't trust anyone with the details. Rado is stunned after hearing this, and a little emotional when he sees Arisa crying about how much she misses him. Going outside, Rado acts like nothing happened and goes for a walk with Mira, calmly commenting on how much she looks like Arisa. Along the way, Mira apologizes for putting his life in danger the other day, but Rado brushes it off since Sui protected him. He then asks Mira if she's annoyed that she's stuck with a guy who refuses to have a good time with any girl. Deep down, he feels bad for making her job harder, but Mira just smiles and tells him he's a kind man. A while later, Rado sits in his room wondering why anyone would even create the virus. Meanwhile, the heads of the United Women organization hold a meeting to discuss Rado's recent actions. One of them says his growing popularity is enough to make the world believe Japan is now the beacon of hope for all women, and the others agree. They also talk about Hino, who's already clapped around 100 baddies with 28 of them currently expecting big bellies. They praise Hino's assistant for doing an excellent job, but criticize Mira for failing to get any results from Rado. As a result, they decide to awaken number 3 from cold sleep so they can proceed with the next phase of their plans. About 5 years ago, a guy named Doi was consistently bullied in school by Takamatsu because he looked like Gojo's left walnut. One time, he was forced to goon to his favorite music star, but since he refused, Takamatsu emptied his bladder on him. Sad and humiliated, Doi left the bathroom heading to his class, silently cursing everyone who made fun of him. On the way, he saw his only friend, but the guy acted as if he didn't know Doi and walked away. This made Doi flash back to when they first met and how they became friends because they were both fans of the same artist. One time, Doi saw Takamatsu bullying his friend and decided to step in, scaring Takamatsu off. But even after everything, his friend felt ashamed to be seen with him, so he walked away without saying thank you. Seeing this broke Doi so much that Yuzu, his hot music teacher, noticed his mood while he played the piano. She asked what happened, so he opened up to her about getting bullied because his hair was white. Since Yuzu was the only one who cared about him, she tried to cheer him up by hugging him from behind, but she noticed his temperature was high. Concerned, she told him to get a checkup at the hospital. After school, Doi went to the hospital and was shocked to discover he had contracted cellular sclerosis. He was told he'd have to be put in cold sleep for at least 5 years until a vaccine was developed. The next day, when Yuzu told the class about Doi's condition, everyone acted nonchalant and went about their day, and Yuzu felt bad about it. After school, Doi took his usual route home but stumbled upon Takamatsu smashing Erika, his girlfriend. Unfortunately, Takamatsu saw him and attacked him, telling him he was bound to die with his V-card intact. As he walked away, Doi wondered why someone like Takamatsu gets to live while he doesn't. A few days later, Doi returned to the hospital and was placed in a cold chamber where he slept for about 5 years. Currently, he wakes up and is greeted by his hot assistant, Karen, who tells him he'll be reliving his high school years with lots of fun. She spends the afternoon briefing him on what he's missed and shows him his dorm room so it's ready for school the next day. He becomes a bit relieved when he learns that his father is still alive, but he has no idea if his sister and mother are safe. The following day at school, Karen introduces Doi as the new transfer student, and Bro instantly reverts to factory settings, thinking he'll get bullied again. About 5 minutes in, he looks around and realizes he's safe, because most of the people who bullied him are either missing or dead. But he's a bit flustered since everywhere he turns is packed with attractive women. After class, Karen takes him to the music room, where he's surprised to see Yuzu still waiting for him. Excited, Yuzu hugs him and Karen subtly hints to her that Doi deserves a reward for recovering from his illness. After Karen leaves, Yuzu asks Doi if he'll be free at night because she wants to talk to him about something important. Later, Doi sits alone on the field, overthinking what Yuzu might want from him but tries to brush off his thoughts. Karen eventually finds him and teases him for not joining the girls. He tells her he prefers sitting alone, but she starts pointing out different girls she thinks might suit his type. Doi doesn't choose anyone, so Karen promises she'll help him find someone he genuinely likes. That evening, Doi goes to meet Yuzu as promised. When he enters her room, he's shocked to see her dressed casually in a light night robe. Yuzu apologizes for appearing like that, but Doi is too flustered to respond properly. Surprisingly, Yuzu asks him how he feels about her. As he gathers the courage to admit he likes her, she dims the lights and kisses him. One thing leads to another, and the night becomes incredibly intimate for both of them. Later, Doi passes out from exhaustion while Karen, who overheard everything, smiles, satisfied that her plan worked. The next day in class, Doi can't stop thinking about what happened with Yuzu. He snaps out of it when Natsu, the girl sitting next to him, asks what's on his mind. She assumes he's thinking about someone he likes, but he denies it, saying he's thinking about a song. Coincidentally, Natsu likes the same song, but before she can talk more, Hayagai interrupts, making Natsu jealous and walk away. That afternoon, at the volleyball court, Rain tries to impress Doi by challenging Akira, the athletic girl in class. During the match, Akira accidentally hits Rain, and the ball bounces and knocks Doi down. The girls rush to check on him, while Akira apologizes repeatedly. Even though Doi says it was an accident, she insists on making it up to him, leaving him speechless. Around sunset, Yuzu meets him and notices the injury on his head. She gives him a gentle forehead kiss and asks if he enjoyed their time last night. Doi admits it was one of the best days of his life and hopes for many more. Yuzu gets flustered and accidentally starts removing her outer clothing without realizing it. Doi, being who he is, doesn't hold back and things escalate between them once again. Over time, Doi becomes attached to Yuzu and they grow closer with every meeting. One morning, he wakes up to a kiss from her. When he realizes there's no school that day, he suggests relaxing, but Yuzu insists she wants more affection from him and he agrees. The next day, Karen forces him to join the girls at the swimming pool, saying it's just exercise. The girls begin competing to show off in front of him. Akira approaches him to apologize again and Doi, flustered by the situation, awkwardly looks away. Then Rain shows up and challenges Akira, and the two start bickering until Akira ends up throwing Rain into the pool. Later, Natsu arrives at Doi's dorm and tells him she'll be living with him for a while. Shocked, Doi calls Karen for answers. She invents a weak excuse about problems in Natsu's room. Doi immediately realizes she's lying because he remembers the girls competing earlier for who gets to spend the night with him. Karen admits it and tells him Natsu will stay for a week, then another girl will take her place the week after. Doi tries to argue, but Natsu tells him she often gets stuck in the fridge, completely distracting him. The next morning, Doi wakes up startled to find Natsu already awake. He thinks about the idea of switching girls every week and realizes he's only used to seeing Yuzu at night. After preparing for school, he notices Natsu hasn't changed yet. She asks him to help her because she's not used to dressing without servants or roommates. Doi hesitantly helps her while desperately trying to stay focused. At school, he tells Karen what happened. But instead of helping, Karen tells him he should help Natsu change in the bathroom next time. Shocked, Doi spits water all over Karen's face and she storms off to clean herself. Later that day, Doi calls Yuzu and tells her about Natsu staying in his room. When he asks to spend the night with Yuzu, she refuses. Hearing this, he thinks Yuzu is avoiding him, but she assures him she is. Doi quickly realizes it's because she knows he's been interacting with other girls. Surprisingly, she tells him to get along with the girls. When he insists he prefers her, she explains that the other girls would be upset if she tried to keep him all to herself. After the call, Doi wonders if the girls really like him. That night, he also questions whether Natsu likes him too. As he struggles to sleep, Natsu climbs into bed with him, saying she can't sleep alone. Though Doi is surprised, he allows her to stay. At some point, Natsu reveals that her family had arranged a marriage for her to a man 20 years older, but that plan ended when the virus hit. Deep down, she admits she's happy the world changed because now she can be with Doi. She tells him she's liked him from the moment she first saw him, and Doi admits he's glad the world turned out this way because it brought them closer. They share a kiss and their night becomes intimate, fulfilling long-held feelings. The following day, the United Women Organization broadcasts a reality show about Rado and his journey since waking from cold sleep. 94% of the world's women watch it, with almost all hopping for more attention from him, but Rado refuses. Soon, Mira informs him that Maharu has been spending a lot of time in the slums, which could be a problem if women realize she's his sister. Rado decides he needs to talk some sense into Maharu. As he leaves, Mira seems worried about something. Elsewhere, Doi wakes up in bed. After helping Natsu drink some water, she becomes sad knowing she'll be leaving in a few days. On his way to meet Maharu, Rado encounters Hino and learns he's going to become a father soon. Later that afternoon, Doi meets Yuzu at school and tells her he's sad because he hasn't seen her recently. He feels guilty about his situation with Natsu, but before he can confess, Yuzu tells him not to worry since she understands he belongs to all the girls in the school. Curious, Doi asks for clarification. But Yuzu breaks down in tears and runs away. Later, Doi speaks with Karen about the strange events he's noticed since waking from cold sleep. He was told he was the only active man in the world, so now he asks if that's true. Karen doesn't give a direct answer about the numbered men like Hino and Rado, but hints at it. Doi starts to suspect the school is set up by the United Women group to monitor him and collect data for the virus. He worries that the girls are being used and pleads for them to be left out. Karen interrupts and tells him to follow her to class. Once there, Karen reveals that the school was designed for him to interact with as many girls as possible, so the United Women group can test whether his immunity could be passed to future generations. She assures him none of the girls are forced, they genuinely like him and want to help. Doi is shocked by this revelation. Karen then instructs all the girls in the class to prove their intentions, and to his astonishment they all comply. Meanwhile, Rado grows frustrated, realizing he hasn't made any progress toward developing a vaccine. Remembering that Mira gave him only a month to produce results, he begins to reconsider whether he can stick to their agreement. Leaving the office, Rado bumps into a girl named Maria. Since her plans were partially exposed, she quickly runs off embarrassed. From a corner, another woman named Ray observes everything and starts following Rado. She chases off a few girls trying to get his autograph, calling him a jerk who sees women as tools. Rao wonders what's going on with her when Mira calls and asks for a private meeting. Shortly after, Rado barges into a meeting with the Japanese branch directors of the United Women Organization, questioning why Mira is no longer his assistant. Before anyone answers, Mary, one of the directors, introduces Rado to Ray and Maria as his new assistants. Maria is assigned as a bioscientist to aid his research, while Ray will assist with his public affairs. Seeing this, Mira leaves, prompting Rado to question the directors about her dismissal. Shu, another director, casually tells him to clap Mira if he cares so much, but Rado yells that he won't. After the meeting, Ray blames Rado for Mira losing her position, believing it's because he refuses to engage with anyone. She decides to limit his movement outside until he considers cooperating, though Rado feels she's being too harsh. Soon after, Ray runs into Mira to catch up as old friends, but Mira only insists that Ray take care of Rado on her behalf. Ray, still suspicious that Rado treats women as tools, is frustrated, but Mira assures her that Rado is a good person and walks away. Later, while traveling on a train, Rado wonders where he's being taken. Maria explains they're en route to Cayman City to meet someone important in virus research. Surprised, Rado's reaction causes Maria to spill juice on herself, forcing her to excuse herself to clean up. Rado apologizes and she admits she isn't used to men. As they talk, she opens up more, sharing what she knows about the virus. Rado recalls Iris's message and asks Maria if she thinks the virus is man-made. She ponders the idea, nodding that Cayman City is where the first victim appeared. Upon arriving at Cayman City, Rado, exhausted from the trip, decides to relax in the hot springs. However, he's shocked when the other girls join him, unsure if he has enough energy to handle them all. As he tries to leave, An stops him, begging for help to scrub everyone's backs, and he reluctantly agrees. He starts with Sui, which goes smoothly since she's the ambassador for flatboards. But when it's Akaina's turn, the demanding woman makes him give her a massage, causing him to blush and struggle to keep composure. At one point, he accidentally slips some fingers into her cake, realizes his mistake, and bolts without looking back. If you loved this anime story and want to know what happens next, drop a comment below and I'll make part 2 just for you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.